Here in the heart of Europe, people are passionate about everything. Their art, their music, their food, their technology. Armed with smartphones and tablets, a new generation of young people are connecting, creating and sharing. Education is being extended beyond the classroom.
There are no limits to what I can learn.
Work is being extended beyond the office.
There are no limits to what I can accomplish.
Art is being extended beyond the museum.
There are no limits to what I can create.
There are no limits.
This is the new Berlin.
This is the new Europe.
This is art now.
This is life now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Senior Vice President and President Qualcomm Europe, Enrico Salvatore.
Welcome for joining us at the Qualcomm Innovation 2012 event. We are very happy that you are here today to join us at the fourth European IQ event. We are holding the IQ event this year in Berlin. Berlin, that is a city famous for the vibrancy, creativity, energy, because we think that this is the perfect location to showcase our Qualcomm innovative and creative technology and products. The technology and products that are enabling our consumers, operators, customers, and ecosystem players. Today, you will hear from some of the greatest minds of mobile industry, including our President and Chief Operating Officer, Steve Mollerkoff, co-presidents of Qualcomm Mobile and Computing, Cristiano Amon and Murthy Renduchitala, Dr. Murthy Renduchitala, and special guest as Joe Arnold, Executive Vice President from Nokia, and Jens Schuster-Bocken, Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Germany. Joe, Jens, thank you for joining us today at the IQ 2012 event. Later today, we will be running technology sessions covering areas such as Snapdragon, our industry-leading chipset platform for smartphone and tablet, LTE, machine-to-machine, and mobile ecosystem. And you will hear from experts covering all the technology tracks. Of course, we have the demo zone. As usual, I cannot miss to mention the demo zone. Demo zone where we demonstrate our latest technology and products, as well as products and technology from our European customer partners and companies. I'm sure that you will enjoy IQ 2012, and we want to demonstrate how we, Qualcomm, can contribute and help you all in doing more, by reaching more, by connecting more, by creating more. Now, it is my great pleasure to welcome onto the stage our President and Chief Operating Officer, Steve Mollenkopf.
Thank you, Enrico, very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Welcome you to IQ Berlin. And I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking a bit about our vision for the future of mobile devices. And also, we're going to see a couple of demos as well of the technology. So, a little bit about Qualcomm. Qualcomm, the business model is actually one where we essentially invest in technology and then we try to create the underpinnings of a lot of the innovation that you see in the mobile devices. And the business model, we've been in business for about 27 years. We invest an enormous amount of R&D. I think to date we've invested somewhere in the neighborhood of $21 billion worth of R&D. And it really takes the form in terms of getting to the market in two ways. One is we have a very strong licensing business. There are about 215 CDMA-based licensees, about 25 single-mode OFDMA licensees, and then we have a chipset business which ships, last fiscal year, we have September fiscal year, we shipped, I think it was 483 million MSM, a little bit more than 1.3 million chipsets a day, driven a lot by the growth of smartphones and connected devices, and I'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the presentation. So if you look in terms of our chipset business, we've grown quite a bit. I think it started in 1997 or so. Now we are the world's largest supplier of mobile chipsets. We're actually the #1 fabless semiconductor company in the world. We ship more RF chips than any other company in the world, and we've just become now the 6th largest semiconductor company in the world. So it's been an incredible, very focused business on driving innovation into the mobile world. So if you look at mobility, or you look at cellular and mobility, it's really something, we describe it as the largest technology platform in history. It's very rare to find a technology or to work on something that every human in the world either has touched or is likely to touch in their lifetime. Very, very strange. It's an amazing industry, and we're very happy to be part of it. We did a poll with Time Magazine and tried to determine how ubiquitous or how strong do people feel about their devices. And 84% of respondents in this poll, and this is across multiple companies, said they couldn't go a single day without their mobile devices in their hands. And 44% of them said they would rather leave their wallets behind if they left the house rather than their mobile devices. And actually, I'll give some more stats from that poll later on in the presentation. But if you're like me, I actually can't get up in the morning without checking my phone. I probably check my phone before I do anything else in the morning. And it's just something that's become part of our life, and it's going to become more and more part of our lives. If you look at, where are we in the curve? Right now, there are about 6 billion mobile connections worldwide. 1.8 of them, or a little bit less than a third of them, are actually 3G, and a little bit less than 1 billion are in 3G or emerging markets. So there's a pretty big runway still left to go in terms of 3G penetration worldwide. So there's just an enormous amount of possibilities open to us by driving mobility. If we look at the industry in general, the total revenues for the industry are about 1.3 trillion. It represents about 2% of mobile GDP, worldwide GDP. And if you look at just the data revenues, so the amount of money that's spent on data, something that many years ago, probably 10 years ago, We used to talk about mobile data coming, mobile data, and people were trying to say, well, what are people going to do with this mobile data? Well, now the revenues from mobile data are $320 billion as of the end of 2011. That's actually larger than the entire movie industry, the entire Hollywood movie industry, the music industry, all of the revenue from ISPs and from the cable industry combined. So you add that all up together, it doesn't, it's not larger than the amount of just the data revenue. So it's just an enormous business, enormous driver of not just economic growth, but also change in the world. So let's just look a little bit about it here.
So quickly, it's like we have to get stuff done, and if you can't communicate at any time of the day, I mean, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. Usually the first thing I do in the morning, I'll hop online and I'll actually connect with my development team out in Ukraine. We work on whatever video game project we have going on. We're playing in a band, we'll get together and we'll rehearse. Usually, you know, one of us will record some stuff on our phone or in our tablet, we'll bring it in. Being able to sit anywhere and hum something into a phone or, you know, into a tablet and be able to come back and share with each other wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be producing half the stuff I'm working on if we didn't have these devices.
My grandfather and father were fishermen. They used to be totally dependent on nature, you know, keeping an eye on the position of the sun and tracking the moon at night. Now, this cell phone gives us important information like weather, wave heights, wind speed and direction, as well as coordinates we need to find the right places. The results are amazing. If all of our fishermen had mobile phones like these, I really think our community would grow. And I think our people would have better lives.
I used to be sick a lot. I had trouble breathing. I would have blackouts. I couldn't do anything physical. I just couldn't have a normal life. My doctor ran tests and discovered that I had a heart problem. So he gave me a special wristband. It takes pictures of my heartbeat. Then my phone sends the info to the medical center. And if I have a problem with my heart, the doctor from the call center will call me right away. I now have more control over my life.
I use the tablet a lot for studying. It is a little smaller than the book. We use tablets to chat with each other, you know. I still use it for fun and everything. It can make the study very efficient, so I can learn lots of things in little time. It's really impressive. Well, sometimes I put some music so I can read it while I'm playing without using, you know, paper. Maybe I will be a musician when I grow up.
My name is He Fang, and I live in Beijing, China.
I'm Josh Shaotai, I'm the creative director here in New York.
My name is Adriano, I am 15 years old and live in São Paulo.
My name is Panier Selvan. I live in a village called Pirampatinam, and I'm a fisherman.
But I think more significantly than actually the volumes is actually the way people's lives change. If you look at the phone's really become the center of our lives. It's something that we use for entertainment. We use it for computing. It's an education vehicle. You saw people use it for healthcare. That's going to increase even more. But in the future, it's going to connect and do everything that we need it to do for us. It'll control our lives and be kind of remote control for our lives, we think. And the opportunity for the entire industry to develop experiences on the device, between devices, we think is going to be immense. And it'll be a great opportunity to reach more, connect more, and create more. So about 2006, we started an initiative which we call Wireless Reach. And the purpose of Wireless Reach was to find ways to really extend the way that people use cellular connectivity and mobile connectivity. To bring really the benefits of wireless to a lot of underserved communities around the world. And now it's something that spans 73 different projects across 31 different countries. And it really covers a number of different areas, from entrepreneurship, education, healthcare, environment, and public safety. And we're very proud of it. We're going to talk a little bit about one of our wireless reach projects that is ongoing now here in Europe. If you look in Europe, we have a partnership with Apropor and Vodafone Spain Foundation to work on an augmented reality project in Spain with eLabora. Essentially what the project does is it brings the capability for workers who have some intellectual difficulties and essentially get them more productive in a work environment. Essentially what it does, it uses the camera to provide step-by-step training guides and allows these folks to really allow them to work on things they wouldn't be able to work were it not be for that technology. So we're very proud of that situation. It's just one of many things that we have going on around the world, and just something that we think is going to really improve the impact of wireless around the world. Okay, so if you look at the networks themselves, it's really the 4G and the 3G networks are really becoming ubiquitous. Today there are 89 different LTE networks worldwide across 45 different countries. There are 472 HSPA and HSPA Plus networks across 183 countries, and 27 EVDO networks across over 60 countries. And there's still a long runway for growth. Today, if you look, there are more than 1 million connections per day, and by 2016 there'll be 3.4 billion connections across the year, which is an amazing growth rate. And then if you think about it, everybody thinks about that may be just happening other places in the world. If you look at the amount of connections in Europe, so in Europe today it's about 382 million 3G connections. It's only 35% of the total connections that occur in Europe. So it's just an enormous runway left to continue to drive new experiences and new ubiquity in terms of connectivity and the reach of wireless. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so one of the things happening in Europe is of course, folks are deploying LTE. There's about 42 different LTE networks launched already. There are 100 more planned. And we expect the growth of LTE across 2011 to 2016 to grow at about a growth rate of about 200% a year. It's really amazing, actually, how the growth in wireless data is going to accelerate here over the next several years. It's not just data devices, but also on the phones. Of course, multi-mode 4G and 3G solutions are something that we try to make very easy for the industry to pull into solutions, and we're going to drive that even more. You'll hear more about that today from Cristiano and Murthy as they describe our chipset offerings. But it's a big growth driver of our business right now. Okay, there's probably two things that really are happening in mobile data today. One is that more and more devices are being connected, so different types of things are getting onto the network. But also the amount of device or the amount of data usage per device is increasing. And if you look in 2011, the typical smartphone uses 35 times more data than a feature phone used. That was a typical, basic feature phone. It's incredible how much data is now pumping through these networks. If you look at Telenor or China Mobile, both of them expect to exceed 150% growth rates in terms of how much data they're driving over the next year. And then Docomo is planning to actually add 1,000 times the data capacity over the 10-year decade from 2010 to 2020. And a lot of what Qualcomm is working on right now is the technology that enables 1,000 times the growth in capacity in networks. And I'll talk a little bit about that here over the next several slides. Okay, so there's really kind of a couple things that are happening. Number one, we're innovating and working with our partners through the standards bodies to continue to drive innovation in mobile networks. So if you look at the standards themselves, we are driving enormous amounts of R&D across the span from LTE Advanced, HSPA Advanced, WCDM, eMBMS, and LTE direct-to-direct. Essentially, these are things that give more data throughput for existing networks, but also provides the capability for many different types of networks to connect to themselves. And there's a lot of investment that Qualcomm is driving right now in these areas. In addition, we have a vision where the network itself, the topology of the network and the way in which cells will be deployed will be very different. Today, we've really done a great job in terms of optimizing the networks and the usages of the networks. And to get further capacity improvements, we really think the opportunity exists to make many, many small cells and to really diversify the deployment scenarios that are in the network. And see, we have this concept of small cells. We're a big believer in small cells. You probably see some of the demonstrations out there, some of the work that we're doing in that area. And there's still a lot of innovation needed, from how do you create very low-cost cell sites, how do you handle the backhaul problem, which is just an enormous issue, how do you deal with interference management, and then how do you deal on the device side to offload onto the right network at the right time. A lot of complication going to happen in order to enable 1,000 times. But that's really one of our big priorities if you look at our big kind of 10-year vision for the company. So if you look at a cell site, the way we think it's going to turn out is, cell site's a big thing today, or it's getting smaller, of course, but we think it can be as small and as cheap as a phone. And this is actually not an artist's rendition. This is an actual real base station that we have today in our labs, and it's just incredibly small. And what we think is going to happen is you can take the scale that is available to us on phones and really provide that to the base station world. Really drive the next layer of growth in the capacity of the network. Okay, about a year ago, we bought a company called Theros, a connectivity and networking company, because we had this vision. And the vision is that we think everything is going to be connected, and it's going to be connected in multiple ways. In your home, there's going to be an enormous, just a number of different varieties in terms of the way in which you connect to the network. From power line communications, to Wi-Fi, to home plug, green-fi, and a number of different types of means to really connect to the right technology at the right time to get your data on and off of the device. And you'll see demonstrations of that out in the foyer as well. Okay, another thing that we demonstrated this year is 802.11 AC. And this really enables us to connect a lot of different devices in the home, mobile devices in the home. I think we were the first ones to actually demonstrate that. We demonstrated it here in Barcelona, if I remember, on a mobile device. And what we really think is going to happen is if you look in the home today, there's probably 2 or 3 different IP addresses. That'll probably be 100 in a very short period of time. And the ability to share all of this data to many, many different types of panels or connected devices will be a big part of how we enable people to take advantage of what cellular can bring. So we essentially imagine that all of our devices are connected together, and they may be talking through many, many different types of technologies, however. So if you look, you think the tablet's going to be connected to the TV is going to be connected to the light switch is going to be connected to all these different things. But at the end, we believe that our phone really very much will be the remote control for a lot of what we do. And so it's very important that we can drive end-to-end solutions between the phone and all of the nodes that are in the house. And that won't just be in the house. We think it'll be in the shopping mall. We think it'll be in museums. It'll be in the car. And just an enormous amount of connectivity and complexity in the underlying technology. And that's really what Qualcomm is trying to do, is make that easy for people to bring to market. The other thing, the big trend from our side that we see is that basically everything is going to be running some form of mobile OS and leverage the App Store that really is now getting started on the phone. Today, if you look at 2011, there's about 30 million or 30 billion downloaded apps. That's expected to grow to 66 billion by the end of 2016. Just an enormous growth in terms of the usages of apps in the App Store. What's driving that? In addition to just more devices getting out there are different types of devices. So we always joke around in Qualcomm that we can't believe that we actually have a slide that has a washing machine on it, but we think it's actually true. We think we will be soon connected and providing Qualcomm technology, not just to phones, but into many different types of wireless devices and connected consumer electronics devices. And these are things that are going to be happening very, very rapidly, probably faster than we can imagine in terms of the speed at which this will happen. Another big trend is healthcare. If you look at healthcare, huge global problem. Chronic disease, the cost of providing healthcare, the inaccessibility of the patient to the healthcare provider, and it's really also the shortages of people who can provide that. So this is really something where technology can provide a big advantage, and really something that not only is a great business, but also is something that extends the reach of cellular in terms of its ability to impact the world. Today, we did a study, or there was a study done in the US that showed that there's a 50% reduction in the mortality rate by remotely tracking patients who have defibrillators and using the cellular network in order to do that. It's just the beginning in terms of what I think is going to happen to the healthcare industry as it starts to use more and more of the connectivity assets that the cellular network provides. So we launched a service in the US. It's coming to Europe in about a couple of months. Essentially what it is, it's a way to take existing devices and to connect them into the cloud using cellular connectivity, and essentially a hub that enables us to sort of provide all of the, abstract a lot of the cellular connectivity away from the device, the cellular device. People describe it as providing sort of the Kindleization of healthcare in your device, in your home, and that's really what we've been doing and trying to really stimulate the industry to take advantage of all these connectivity assets. As I said, this is coming to Europe in a couple of months. The other thing, in terms of technology enablers, we're spending a lot of time talking about software. And software for us, again, we're a technology enabler. Things like peer-to-peer, working on web tech and augmented reality. Let me talk a little bit about each one of those. Peer-to-peer, we have a solution called AllJoin, and what it is it's a quick way to create an ad hoc network across platforms to enable different types of devices to securely and quickly talk to each other. We demonstrated out there in the hall. And we've been doing this for some time. It's an open source project. We manage it through our open source Qualcomm Innovation Center. And it really enables us to share content, connect devices very quickly, and it really provides a quick and easy way for different types of devices to interact with each other. The other one we're working a lot on is bringing web technologies, and in particular HTML5, into the mobile environment. Our Snapdragon product line has highly optimized HTML5 solutions. We're also working on adding additional APIs to the web community so that they can take advantage of the unique feature set that exists on mobile. Things like camera, GPS, a different type of file system, peer-to-peer. A lot of the things that you can do, especially because it's a part of mobile, we're providing in those APIs. We have that demonstrated out there as well. The other thing that we think is really interesting is augmented reality. Augmented reality, of course, allows the phone to essentially interact with the physical world through the camera. And I won't talk too much about it other than to say we did this about 2 years ago. We started this in earnest. And today, using our Vuforia platform, we have more than 30,000 developers and over 1,000 commercial apps. And it's really amazing what people can do with these things. We're going to show you a little bit about that here in the next couple of minutes. I didn't quite understand that last one with the octopus, but Jay Wright, who is our Senior Director for Business Development, will talk a little bit about our augmented reality system.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning. And yes, that was an octopus in that video. You know, we thought we'd put that in there just to see how much attention people will pay to these videos. And when I first saw that, I thought it was truly the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen. But as it turns out, there's a tradition in hockey where fans of a certain team, or maybe it's several teams, will actually throw an octopus down onto the ice. And I imagine it's bad things that happen that cause them to do that. It's probably not in a good event. At any rate, that was a Canadian clothing retailer that had done that application, and apparently that's how one would sneak an octopus into an ice hockey game. So we've been working very hard on Vuforia in the last year, and much of it here in Europe in both our Cambridge and Vienna offices. And I have to tell you, there's been nothing more rewarding and many days entertaining than to see all the kinds of experiences that developers have come up with. And they've been very busy. We've actually seen those 1,000 applications come to market in just the last year. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with Vuforia, what it does is give mobile apps the ability to see. It turns the device's camera into a digital eye that can recognize objects in our environment and then provide interactive experiences on top of them. And today it works using a database of images stored on the device. So when I point my device at something, I'll recognize it from this database and then put information on top of it. And that recognition is extremely quick and very robust. It works in a wide range of lighting environments, when the device is moving, objects are moving, and extremely robust. But if you happen to be a retailer and you have a large number of products, or if you are a publisher and you have got catalogs or newspapers or magazines with hundreds or thousands of images, you need a bigger database than we can put on that device. So we recently announced the ability to do image recognition in the cloud. And with this capability, we can now have over 1 million images in a cloud-based database that applications can work from. And I'd like to show you a demonstration of that today. So for this demo, I'm using the US version of the Samsung Galaxy S3 with the Snapdragon S4 processor in it. And I've got it mounted on this camera rig so that you can see what I'm seeing on the device. And you'll note as I point my device in the environment, I'm going to pretend that you're standing there, Steve. You would have been more interesting to look at, but you left. Oh, there you are. So you see as I point at Steve and I look in the environment, you see green dots as that scan line is moving up and down. And those green dots are what Vuforia knows or uses to know that it's seeing something. So we use that information to intelligently send camera frames back to the cloud where they're then recognized and we can look up information that could be associated with that image. So let's take a look at what this would be like in a mobile shopping or commerce scenario. And this is a demo that we did with American Apparel, which is a US retailer. They actually have got stores here in Berlin and throughout Europe. And this is a display as you might see in the store. So I've got some hoodies here with a sign for the hoodies, and I've got some shoes. Now let's assume that I'm shopping at American Apparel. I've tried on these hoodies. I know size large fits me, but I don't see a color that I like there. Well, if I was at home on the web, it'd be very easy to see all the colors I want. But in the store, it's much harder. So let's see how we can address that with Vuforia and cloud-based recognition. So I'm just going to point my device at the sign. You see the scan line move up and down. And then instantly, that image popped out of the camera view and became part of the user interface for my application. The environment actually defined my app. And now I can move this color slider back and forth and change the colors. I'm going to pretend that's a guy there. This would be on me. And I go, that blue color, I don't see that here, that looks better. And now I can just go and buy online while I'm still in the store. So let's take a look at another example, these shoes. Now, I know these shoes are probably pretty cool because I'm in American Apparel and everything in there is pretty cool. But I'm the kind of person that likes to look at some online reviews so I can see what others say to make sure this is something that's going to work. So let's see how I might get reviews. Again, I'm going to point my device. Scan line's going to move back and forth. Image pops out of the camera view. Again, defines the user interface for my application. I'm going to go ahead and tap reviews. And let's scroll down here. I love these shoes. They're surprisingly versatile and comfy. Okay, that's the kind of information I need. Now I'll go ahead and try those on. So this is just one type of experience that's possible in retail. Based on what we've seen with our existing capabilities, we're comfortable developers will take this to a completely new level with other types of applications that will unlock new monetization opportunities. We've got a number of other exciting Vuforia applications in the demo area today, so please stop by and see what's possible. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jay. So as you can see, the consumer really demands a lot in their phones. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the phone now. So talk a little bit about our chips. So you'll hear a lot about this today, but Snapdragon is really what we've been spending a lot of time working on. It's our all-in-one mobile processor. What we did, we took an approach which we said, you know what, in order to enable this vision, you need to have many different types of technology delivered in a very small package. And really what that means is you got to have the world's best CPU, you got to have the world's best connectivity, including the modem. You got to have multimedia that enables you to do all the things that Jay showed you, as well as all the just enormous amount of content generation, as well as consumption that occurs on the device. And you got to do it all in a particular battery life. Essentially, what it comes down to is that the design point for mobile computing is so different than the design point for plugged-in computing that you got to have something different. And that's why we came up with Snapdragon. So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the areas, or we're going to show one of the areas that we have in here, which is mobile GPUs. And I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about all the things that the company has done, but we are actually the largest supplier of graphics engines in the world. And it's really because we supply them into mobile devices, which are the biggest and probably the most demanding user of graphics engines. So Anita's going to come up and talk to us a little bit about, show us a little bit about how the latest Snapdragon graphics engine is working.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here today and talk to you about Snapdragon S4 Pro. This is the latest generation of our chipset. I'm excited about the quad core. So what's so special about S4 Pro? Well, it gives peak performance and optimal battery life. So So what's special? Let's get into some features. Well, it's quad-core with up to 1.7. That's over 6 gigahertz of processing power. Pretty impressive. Add that with Adreno 320, which is 3 to 4 times more powerful than what's in the market today with Adreno 225. Then, of course, you get 1080p HD video, stunning surround sound, and, of course, up to 20 megapixels in camera. So this is our Snapdragon development platform. This is what I'm going to be demonstrating on. This is actually available to developers and really want them to take advantage to optimize and test their applications and games on this device. Really makes for optimal performance. So let's take a look at the demo. See if it's coming up. There we go. So before we get into the graphics, let's take a listen to the audio, listen to the sand rumbling along the hillside. So now as we look at this camera angle, look at the clock. See how smoothly it's moving. See the reflections of it in the water. Let's also look at the hillside and see the sand. Hopefully you can see it clearly moving across and the level of detail in the sand. Let's move to this camera angle and you can see the flames and see the flames reflecting on the pillars. Then this third camera angle is about the sun and seeing the rays and looking at the way the sun shines down on the dragon and really reflects out to all of you. So very, very detailed. So now let's get into the 4 cores. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see the demo and the different features that we're showing today. In the left is the 4 cores, and you can see how all 4 are being used at the moment. And then the lower left is the frames per second and other metrics. So what we're going to do now is turn off the cores, and you'll see a difference as I turn them off. Now we're down to, you can see there's 1 core running, and the key point is to look at the frames per second in the lower left-hand corner. You can see that's really dropped. And you can also see that the flags are now stuttering. They're not running as smoothly. So let's go ahead and put your cores back on. And you can see the frames per second has gone back up. And you can see how smoothly now everything's moving. So this is great for games, a rich, stutter-free experience. But it's not only for games. Think about how your web looks and the internet web browsing. Think about navigation. All the different things that are going to deliver a great consumer experience. Snapdragon S4 Pro has been announced by a couple of OEMs, including LG and Chime, so we're really excited to see those devices come to market soon. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys are impressed and interested in Snapdragon S4 Pro and what it's going to do for you and for developers to create more and do more with our next generation device.
Okay, so Snapdragon it's really playing a big role in the smartphone segment. It's a big segment. We estimate that there's going to be about 5 billion smartphones sold across the 4 years, 2012 to 2016. Just incredible growth. And we think that in the emerging market, it's not all high-end, but even in the emerging market, we think 50% of that, or over 50% of that, will be smartphones. Just the growth of smartphones is just incredible. The complexity of the amount of technology that you have to invest in order to create a smartphone is also incredible. We're just really happy to be enabling that. One of the ways in which we're helping the smartphones get to different price points as well as go after different geographies is to enable a different business model. We came out with the QRD, which essentially is a more completely tested reference design. We've been doing this for a couple of years, and it's now something that enables us to reduce the time to launch. It enables different types of players to get into the market, and it's really a broad portfolio of products now that we offer in order to enable that to happen. And we're really quite pleased about it. We have about 40 different OEMs who are using our reference design today, and there are more than 100 devices either launched or in design right now, soon to be on the market. So it's a new way that we've started to expand our ability to go to market with technology. One of the other big things that's coming is actually Windows RT. The significance really of what you're seeing with Windows RT is you're seeing really the blending of the smartphone world with the PC world. And in our view, what happens is that the key design point, the part that will become more important over and over in computing, will be the things that are brought to it from mobility. And we think Windows RT is a good example of that. It's really about how people are moving on from legacy computing and really moving toward mobile computing. And so in the last several weeks, there's been 2 devices using Snapdragon, the Dell XPS 10 and the Samsung ATIV tablet. Both of them use our new Snapdragon S4. We're very happy to see those devices announced and really the changes that we'll see as mobile computing starts to be even growing even more outside of phones. Okay, if you look at where we think it's going, the phone itself today really doesn't do all of the things that we think it will do in the future. In the future, we talked a lot about kind of things that people can envision. But really, our vision is that the phone really starts to, in addition to doing things for you, starts to anticipate a lot of what you need, looking at the environment around you, interacting with the cloud, interacting with different applications to provide data to you in a really much different way, kind of like a digital sixth sense. If you look at the vision, it's really about how your world and your phone really provides you with a lot of the things that it's capable of doing today, but it really doesn't do. It's interacting with sensors. It can deal with what's around you and really present to you a very different, much like a remote control for your life. And your phone's going to learn many, many things about you that it will use to really improve your life. But it's pretty tricky, actually, when you think about it. There's a lot of things you have to do to keep things private. There's a lot more data than you need. How do you filter it out? How do you use the stuff that's really important for you individually, but maybe not for your friend or for your spouse? And a lot of complexity about how that works and across the cloud, how it works across different connectivity environments. And we're working on all of that today. Some interesting business models have come out of that. We did a trial with a large ad agency where we used some of the contextual awareness technologies that we have and essentially go out and look at different pieces of what's going on around you, present them to you. We did that with a mobile advertising company. And what we saw was that the conversion rates, the click-through rates on the ads actually were double. Just because it was able to look at in a fairly crude way in terms of what we think will be eventually enabled. It can look at that data and it can filter it. It can provide a much more efficient advertising program for the phone. So a lot of technology going on in that, and we're working on that as well here at Qualcomm. Let me just finish off by saying that we think the world is really going to be connected. It's going to be driven primarily out of your phone, but there'll be a lot of different devices that get connected alongside with you. There'll be sensors everywhere. There'll be new applications trying to leverage the cloud. You'll be connecting to many different devices on and off throughout your day. And all these things we'll be able to enable through our combination of chipset and licensing program that we have. So that's what I have for you today. I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have a good time here and see all the technologies that we have. And it's now my pleasure to welcome to the stage Joe Harlow, who's the EVP of Smart Devices from Nokia. Joe.